Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 8 of Couple of Conversations. So recently we just finished watching Adolescence. It's very popular at this moment. A lot of people are watching it and for good reason.
Exactly, because we saw a lot going around
Yeah.
on social media about it. So we thought okay, we also really need to watch this.
Yeah, and boy did we need to watch this stuff. I mean, this is something that we decided this has to be our next topic because it's about time. I think there are a lot of conversations going on about this, but I think the more we speak about this, the better it is. So for those of you who may not have seen it yet, Adolescence is a recent series that has been uploaded. I think it's available on Netflix. I don't know which other platforms you can see it on. And of course, this is not a review video of Adolescence, so we're in our reaction video.
No spoiler alerts.
Yeah, there's no spoilers. We're not
No.
going to go in depth about what goes on with the storyline, but there are some very serious things that we need to discuss about it. And to just give you a gist of what happens in Adolescence or what it is about, the story revolves around a teenager. I think he's about 13 years old, and he's accused of murder. And on further investigation, actually, it's revealed that there are a lot more disturbing things going on, amongst the youth of today. And I think this.
Yeah, and I think it's really a valuable topic to talk about because it's getting, I think, more and more.
Yeah, it's
disturbing,
prevalent.
Actually.
It's
yeah.
already so.
Yeah.
How do I say? It's very common now, and I think it's increasing day by day. And a lot of it has to do around, the use of technology and the spread of social media and, the lowering of the age of the user. Because now you have kids that are as small as 2 years old, or I don't know, maybe even younger, who are actually being exposed constantly to social media, to videos, YouTube, and the impacts, of course, I think most of us know, but I mean, we'll go into a little bit more detail about what the situation is today and why it's becoming more and more dangerous and the things that are happening and probably will happen further if this is not brought under control.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts? What did you feel as a mother? As some of you who are following us know, we are parents to a 4-year-old. And as parents, really, when you look at this stuff, it just puts things in a whole different perspective, probably.
Yeah, well, actually, I was already kind of aware of all of this going on, but it's watching Adolescence was kind of an extra wake-up call. Like, this is really, really something that's going on and going on more and more about how the youth is getting influenced by social media. And of course, us as being a parent, we are really also having a lot of discussions about this, conversation about this. Like, what are we gonna offer to our son? And of course, I hope that also in the future, now he's just 4 years old, but also in the future we can keep on doing that. As like it starts from a very young age, actually, this exposure to social media. Many
these days, I mean, it didn't used to be that, but with time now, like, it's very common. I'm sure most of y'all have seen, maybe just around you, even in public spaces, whether you're at a train station, in the train, if you go to visit maybe your friends, maybe at their houses sometimes, or if there's a get together or so at someone's house, or these kind of things. You've seen maybe small kids that are already engaged with their phones. They're just staring into their screens, playing something, watching something, whether it's YouTube or any other videos or these kind of things.
Exactly. And like it's just surprising that many kids of 2-year-old or younger maybe even already know how to scroll and tap on different videos. And
I still have difficulty sometimes with my smartphone, and I'm like, wow, these kids. And sometimes you think, oh wow, these kids know. Oh wow. So this is what we get in nature, but we keep it real. There are bees, wasps, everything in our podcast. And coming back to what we were saying.
I think it's very important. We are also not on the holy grail kind of like.
No, of course. I mean,
because we also had a period that our son, around 2 years old, was not really eating properly, and he's not the...
Yeah, he was a very energetic kid, and he was focused on everything else besides food.
And he's very slim.
Yeah.
So that makes it also, he doesn't have that many reserves, you can say.
Yeah.
So we were kind of needed. We took
the support of just showing him.
Well, we kind of tried to figure out choosing between two devils, you can say. It was either he's not eating, or we are putting him in front of a screen so that at least he eats.
Yeah, this was when he was about 2, I think, or so.
So then he stays put at one place
and
for some time, and we are able to feed him.
And sometimes it was also about time constraints, because when we were sending him to the play group in school, and in the morning, it's breakfast time, you have to make it to school, and the kid is not eating and things like that. But of course, I mean, that's what at the time we were doing.
Yeah. And of course we were also aware this is not the best thing to do.
Even then we were aware. That's true.
But then actually the teacher there also, once when we had a talk,
we just went to drop him off at school one day, and very briefly, there was not much time to talk. The teacher mentioned it to us. She asked us, she said, is he getting any screen time at home? Yeah. And we informed her that just only during meal times, just to get the food in him, we're using videos to show him, kids videos on YouTube and this kind of stuff. And she said, very clearly, if possible, try to avoid doing it.
Yeah, and it's a Montessori teacher, so maybe that's also important to mention. Yeah, and of course, we were already aware, but that kind of hit us a little bit in the sense of she could even see it in his behavior.
Because he was pretty even at the time, in general, he was a pretty normal kid. He plays, he's active physically, mentally, everything, and yet the teacher could see something in his behavior where she had to ask us is he getting exposed to screen time, basically.
Yes.
And that was enough for us to really start thinking again and say, what, we have to find a better way. We cannot just rely on this stuff.
I think just cold turkey, we just stopped. Showing him the videos and on YouTube, and because we also got to think about many movies or videos that are put in a certain age groups are not really suitable for them yet, and not all the kids, their brains are ready to receive all that information that we are putting them through, even though it says all ages. Be really aware of what your kid is watching, and how your kid is taking that. Maybe it's your kid is not ready to watch something that another kid, maybe your neighbor, is ready to watch. So also see your own child in that aspect also.
True, but I think in general, anyways, what we were coming to is the effects of this thing. You have children now, have lower attention spans. They have concentration problems, focusing problems. Their brain development is actually, there are studies that show this, their brain development gets hampered by this screen time and things like that. And
because it simply moves so fast, and the stimulus is so huge in these cartoons and
and as you mentioned before, it's addictive,
exactly.
And so I don't know what to say really. There are so many problems with this thing, and as they grow it gets even worse, because now if they're able to access things on their own, that's a bigger problem. And that's where this whole period of adolescence comes in, especially because you're still of very fragile minds that can be very easily molded based on the information that comes to you.
Well, actually, this is also an important thing. Many times we realize the importance of the first 3 years, where the brain development is taking the biggest jumps. But we are mostly forgetting about the period when adolescence is there. That's the second biggest jump that the brain makes in its development. So we many times let go too much in a period that we actually need to be more present again. To regulate their because they are finding their identities kind of again in another age part.
That's true. I was just gonna say, because that's the period, the period of adolescence, as we all have, gone through it, is, a period of, where you're more likely to have, maybe anxiety, and, in a milder form. I'm not saying like a complete anxiety disorder or something, but, there's so many changes, there's hormonal changes going
in
on,
group
brain
dynamics and all,
emotions, hormones,
Yes.
so many things going on. You're discovering yourself, and as you mentioned, you're trying to find your identity. You can have anxiety, you can have if you're not able to adapt to your social environment, you can end up with problems of loneliness, and it can just go in a wrong direction, which is why during adolescence and your teenage years, you have to be so careful with what's going on around your child. And if at that point your child is actually dependent on information coming from social media and media in general, YouTube or any other streaming platforms,
instead of you as a parent that
exactly
like
there has to
informing
be like
your kid about different things.
So during this period, is where you have to be really careful. And I think we need to talk about why maybe these things are happening more in today's time, because social media has been around now for some time. In fact, quickly, the first time I actually used social media, of course it wasn't as developed as it is now, was I think when I was going abroad for higher studies, and I was at this point like 21 years old or something. That's my first time I made like a Facebook profile, I think.
Oh yeah, no,
to
we
keep
were,
in touch with my friends.
In Netherlands we were earlier, I think.
Well, what was it for you?
Because I think I was around 14, 15 years old,
Yeah.
because Hives came up.
Okay.
We had a Dutch
I don't
platform
even
that
know
was,
that.
I think, even before Facebook, I think.
Okay.
So first it was Messenger.
Yeah.
That we could send.
But I think the things you could do with those things were probably much more limited than
but
what
even
you
on
can do now.
Messenger already it kind of started.
Mhm.
That there was more kind of. It started also that there were moments that people were bullying through Messenger. So kind of the internet bullying already started.
Yeah.
Back then when Messenger
Of
came.
course, now that the not only has the user age gone down with these things, like I think now kids have profiles probably at the age of 8-9 years old, maybe also, or so. I'm guessing maybe younger. I might be outdated. Exactly.
From
really
7-8 years old. Maybe even younger. I don't know.
Exactly. So but I mean, I think now there's more. It's like every other kid, like you have to be almost part of it, because like everyone around you is on it. And that's where I think we need to see, like, why is this happening? Like, I think it all starts at home with like, what are the...
With us as parents, that's also like, it's a huge reflection to look at yourself first, because we are the biggest example for our children.
Exactly.
And I think, for us both also, it's our work to be on the phone many times also, unfortunately. To make conscious decisions upon that also, with being very clear when your child is there and your child knows now it's not working time, that you really put your phone away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think parents these days, because, the way our lives have become now, with both parents working and even being overworked, working longer times, sometimes multiple jobs and all these things. But, if you're, as a parent, you need to ensure that, when you come back home, let's say you are working away from home. When you're working from home is another point also. But let's say you come back home, your kid has come from school, and now you need to ensure, if your work is over, that you're not still on your phone. Like, your me time shouldn't be phone time, especially while your kid is around. Even when he's not around, actually, you should not. But it makes it even worse, because now your kid's role model, whom he's looking up to, the next, the people that are immediately around him, his elders, they are themselves on the phone, and that's what he's picking up. He or she, they're watching this. And
the screen is more important than the connection between the human beings.
That's the message
directly.
You're sending exactly to your kid. That you'd rather spend more time with the phone or iPad, whatever you're using, rather than the kid. And also you need to, and another reason I think is also that the parents themselves these days are addicted maybe to social media.
And it's also kind of like the society that's expecting us to be constantly available. For for phone calls that you're getting or messages. If sometimes if you don't reply to a message the next day, then it's already like, why didn't you not reply directly? I needed to really get an answer, so that the whole society is so fast paced, like the cartoons, like everything goes so fast. That's like, we feel that we are constantly needed.
And I think the parents don't even realize, like, while they are adults that are viewing social media, and you still have a way to filter the information that's coming your way. I think while you're so busy with all of that, we tend to maybe overlook the fact that these are young kids who won't be able to regulate the information or what they're viewing, just because the information gets passed on from one person to the other. Maybe they find out another kid is watching something, and now you don't have control, and now your kid starts watching that. You don't know what he's watching, he or she. And today, there's a wide range of creators on YouTube that have different viewpoints. Some might be considered, pretty extreme also. And if your teenage kid is following this creator, following their videos and taking advice from them rather from you, that's going to be a problem, because that's what's going to reflect in his or her behavior. And in fact, there are so many instances now where this has not only led to the rise of online bullying, which is increasing day by day. The next step after online bullying is, the people who get bullied, those victims, they might retaliate with violence. A lot of the times you hear
and this is also because there is no regulation in how to deal with your emotions anymore, because everything is so much into like the social media part. Parents are less present to really let kids navigate through their emotions and learn how, with the big emotions that you can experience as a teenager, to have those in-depth talks with your parents, or with even your friends, because that's not there. Like, mostly now kids are not really like chatting with each other anymore. They are just like showing each other, oh hey, look at this. So the real connection between even your friends is not really there that much anymore.
It's based on a lot of superficial stuff, so they don't really, instead of getting to know each other and building on their social relations, it's more being dictated by what they are being fed through social media. So like, if you are getting bullied, or if anything bigger is happening in your life, many kids don't really know anymore how to deal with that. And it comes out in really wrong ways.
Exactly.
So your kid per se might not be like, he's not a bad child, but just because he's been bombarded with this information which he's unable to process, and then he's not just him, but among a group of kids who are not able to handle all this information, and then they're using that to communicate with each other in not the best ways. It's resulting in bullying. There's someone who's a victim of it. That person is not able to deal with it. He ends up getting back at his friends in a way that he doesn't understand the implications of it, and it's then too late for damage control by the time this comes to light. We find out when it comes in the media, and by then it's usually a headline that you don't want to read.
Exactly.
So that's the whole point. And I think so the important thing with all of this is what needs to be done. Now we know this is a problem, and it's increasing day by day. It's really leading to, I mean, it might sound extreme, but this is really going to lead to like the collapse of the youth, I think, because if you have people that are just addicted to social media, and they have cognitive problems, brain development problems, and lack of ways to handle social interactions, resorting to extreme behavior, violence, crime, all these things, that's not a society we want to live in. And I think so what will have to be done this is our suggestion, of course, and we'd love to hear from you all as well.
And let it also be clear that this is also kind of a reflection for us ourselves as parents.
Of
so
course.
like we also don't know how our son will be when he grows up and how we have to deal with certain things when it comes to social media. So but this is more our thought processes, how it is now.
True.
And I think what we hope that we kind of put a proper base, that hopefully the social media is not gonna influence him as much, hopefully, but we never know.
That's true, but I think but that's what I'm coming to is like we hope for it, but the important thing is like we as parents need to make sure we're putting that effort in, so that we're not later, if something goes wrong, we're not haunted by that question, could I have done something to stop this? Because it actually starts with small and little things already. For example, that example that we gave, when our son was not eating, it was more convenient for us to put a screen. We chose convenience.
So
at
it
that
was
time.
like, okay, it was easy to quickly feed him something, so he would gain a little bit of weight.
It's a quick solution.
A quick solution. And so there are many things that as parents we think like, okay, we are working from home, we quickly need to finish some work, so we put the kids in front of a screen so we can finish that work. And then maybe it starts with just 10 minutes, but maybe sometimes you think like, oh, I need to do a little bit more, and they are nicely watching something, so let me finish that off as well. We all very quickly fall into that trap. It's in such little things, like for example our parents, grandparents, or maybe us ourselves also, like we see something nice on social media and think like, oh, we really want to share this with our kid because it's about animals or whatever it is. And then you think like unconsciously, like think, oh, like such a small clip doesn't harm or so, but maybe it gets more and more that you start to show things. And we also need to kind of pull that back also sometimes. And so just be very aware of what you are sharing, because it can be such little things that goes wider and wider, and then still it's the screen time is kind of a lot.
And I think that brings us to like the points about, okay, so now what do we do, right? Because social media is not going to go away. Technology is not going to go away. If anything, it's becoming a bigger part of our lives each and every day. AI is going at a pace that's unprecedented in history, like the way it's taking over things, and it can be of use to us also. That's a different argument about the positives and negatives of social media. But I think what needs to be, in our opinion, it all starts with, you are the parents of your child. You are the ones who's going to decide how you're going to raise your child. And the foundation that you lay is what's going to help them to cope with things as they grow up. Because you're never going to be able to protect them completely from the world. They cannot be insulated. It's not like they will never learn about phones or social media. You're going to have to give it to them. It's part of the world.
And that's another thing that
that's one we're coming
as a society
we're going to we're going to mention that also. So I think the first thing is, like, as parents, be present parents. It doesn't stop with you gave birth to the kid and you give him meals and that ends. You have a roof over his head and his or her head, and you provide meals, and that's about it. It's not just the practical things of day-to-day life, but I think you need
proper interactions with your child.
Exactly. Talk to your kids. Make sure
create space.
Make sure they feel seen and heard. Make sure they feel comfortable, that they can come to you if they want to ask, they want to talk about something, they want to ask something. No matter what the topic is, they need to feel that you're a person that they can come to for whatever is on their mind, whether it's disturbing them, whether they're confused about something, whether they're facing a problem somewhere within their friends, or it can be the smallest of things. But it starts from the small things. That's when you develop this relationship of trust with your child, that I'm there, you can come to me no matter what it is.
And I think like something that comes from that as well is, don't be afraid to create moments when there is nothing. Like many times, because we are also so wired to fill up every single minute in a day, leave some space for nothing. Just be there with your child. Just go out in nature. Let the child be bored again. Let the creative mind come out again.
Exactly.
Also, we as a parent don't have to fill up everything with an activity. Some activities are great, for sure. Doesn't mean that you don't have to do any activity, but also leave space for nothing. And that something can just unfold by itself, because mostly we notice it ourselves the moment that we bring our son to bed and there's nothing, there is no activity at all. He suddenly starts opening up and tell all his stories from the day.
And
because that's a space where there's nothing else to do. Just be and lie next to each other and listen to each other. And really be present.
And that helps us so much, because that's like a direct view into his mind about like where he is at this moment, like what kind of thoughts are going on in his head. So what is impacting him in what way? Like you are able to quickly figure out how exactly he's being raised, like what's impacting him, what are the things that are going right, what are the things that can be improved maybe.
What is bothering him.
So that's number one, I think. Be an involved parent. The second thing, as you said, is involve them. There are 2 points in that. One is involve them with take them out in nature. Make sure they spend time in nature, in the outdoors, do activities outdoors. Make sure they're doing constructive activities. They can, whether your child likes sports, whether he likes painting, he or she likes painting, drawing, gardening. Our kid loves working in the garden. So, whatever it is, that they can do outdoors and, interact with other kids without the use of technology. And as you said, also a very valid point is that, don't always jump in to provide this environment of structure and activity. Sometimes if you think they're getting bored, let them get bored, because from that boredom is where they're going to start using their minds and their creativity to come up with things to entertain themselves, to keep themselves occupied, and that's a good key part of their development that I think we're missing out with this whole structure thing. That's another good point. And
I think
school, but before that, one more thing about the house, because at some point, right, you're gonna have to give the kid a phone, because these days with the use of technology, right, when they're maybe in high school and things like that, now you're probably going to use internet for your even school gathering information for your school project or this kind of thing. So I think what needs to be done is that if they are using things at home with technology, that you need to ensure that it's they're only doing their online browsing and things maybe in a common area, or if they're doing it in their room, it's with doors open, not with shut doors. I mean, if you're doing research for your school stuff, you don't need to shut your door. You don't need to bring the privacy matter in that part. Other times is a different thing. But I think the use of phones, iPad, or even watching TV or whatever, if it's done in a common area in the house, that's my opinion. I don't know, maybe in some cases it's not feasible or practical, I don't know. But I think it would be ideal. If we could do ideally, that would be a good thing, because what's happening behind closed doors, you don't know. I don't know, unless there's a setup in a way you can monitor what he's checking, but I think that's a bit too much of an invasion of privacy. It's actually better that you let them do what they need to check and stuff, but at least if it's in a place where he knows, like his parents have access to knowing what he's doing, like it's gonna be more under control. And monitor your child's behavior every other day. Like if there's changes in his behavior, why is your child suddenly not wanting to talk to you anymore? Why is he just spending more and more time alone? Why is he sleeping later and later in the night? Is he getting nightmares? I don't know, so many things that can give you a hint of what's happening. You really need to be in tune with that. And then the school part that we were talking about. I think really it's very important. I don't know how this is going to work out. Like I don't know how it works these days in school, really. I
think the whole system needs to change, and that's gonna be a whole different podcast.
But I think, and the more and that is true. But more and more parents need to get involved to really change. So. Without that, the system is not going to change. But yeah, I think that also has to be limited, the use of what you can do with phones.
Your smartphone at school.
In fact, I say, to be honest, again, for some parents maybe they will not agree, but I think, like, to be honest, why do you need a smartphone in school? Like, until the time you're even 14, 15, I would say. In school, you just, you learn through books, you learn through whatever your teachers are showing, you interact with your friends, and I think that should be conclusion. I think, like, I think it's important that, we decided to do this because I don't think we are early for this discussion. If anything, this should have been done a while ago, not just specifically by us, but society in general. And maybe it's still not too late. I think all of us, it's our responsibility to raise this topic, seeing as how prevalent it is and how it's spreading with your friends, your neighbors, your community, your parents. This has to be a discussion that should go on in pretty much every household today, so that it's not too late, so that there's no tragedy that happens in our communities. So with this, I think we will conclude today's podcast. I hope you really liked it. Please share this with as many people as
and
you
share
can.
your views upon this also in the comments.
We would love to hear your feedback also on this. So until next time.
See you.
See you.